Life has a way of teaching us that not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people come into your life as blessings and others come as lessons. But hear me when I say this, how you deal with toxic people says more about your strength and wisdom than it ever says about them. Toxic people often reveal their nature through consistent patterns of behavior. They may display excessive negativity, always focusing on what's wrong while dismissing what's right. Their words are laced with criticism even when praise is warranted, and their actions often disregard the well-being of others. Pay close attention to how they treat not just you, but everyone around them. People who thrive on manipulation or bring discord wherever they go are waving red flags, but recognizing those flags requires discernment and vigilance. Another sign of toxicity is a refusal to take accountability. Toxic individuals are quick to blame others for their mistakes or shortcomings. They might twist the truth to suit their narrative, leaving you questioning your own perspective. If you find yourself constantly apologizing or explaining things to someone who refuses to listen, it's time to acknowledge that their behavior may not be rooted in misunderstanding, but in manipulation. Notice how their presence impacts your inner being peace. Toxic people often drain others emotionally, leaving you feeling anxious, frustrated, or exhausted after spending time with them. These individuals tend to create a cycle of stress that doesn't improve, no matter how much effort you invest in the relationship. When the mere thought of interacting with someone fills you with dread, it's a sign that their influence may not be healthy. Lastly, look out for controlling or domineering tendencies. Toxic people often seek to dominate conversations, relationships, or environments. They may use guilt, shame, or intimidation to get their way, leaving little room for compromise or mutual respect. Pay attention to whether they respect your boundaries or dismiss your needs as insignificant. These behaviors are not random, they are deliberate attempts to maintain control, and recognizing them is the first step in protecting yourself. Your peace is a treasure that cannot be replaced, and it is essential to treat it as such. Toxic people have a way of disturbing the calm in your life, often by creating unnecessary drama, conflict, or chaos. Guarding your peace starts with understanding its value and refusing to let anyone disrupt it. You must be intentional about creating an environment where your mind can rest and your soul can thrive, free from the disturbances of negativity. One of the most powerful ways to guard your peace is by learning to say no. Saying no is not about rejecting people, but about protecting your time, energy, and mental space. Toxic individuals often push boundaries, trying to force you into situations that serve their needs at your expense. By setting limits and standing firm, you send a clear message that your peace is not negotiable. Saying no is not selfish, it's necessary for maintaining balance in your life. Guarding your peace also requires being selective about what you engage with. Not every battle is yours to fight, and not every issue deserves your attention. Toxic people thrive on pulling others into their chaos, but you have the power to step away. When you refuse to give energy to arguments, gossip, or unnecessary disputes, you reclaim your peace. Choosing silence or distance over confrontation is not weakness, it's wisdom. Another crucial aspect of guarding your peace is prioritizing self-care. Toxic relationships can take a toll on your emotional and physical health, so it's vital to make time for activities and practices that replenish your spirit. Whether it's prayer, meditation, exercise, or simply spending time in nature, these moments of restoration create a shield that protects you from the impact of toxicity. When you invest in yourself, you build resilience against anything that seeks to disrupt your peace. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect and self-preservation, especially when dealing with toxic people. It starts with recognizing your own limits, knowing what you will and will not tolerate in relationships, whether personal or professional. Toxic individuals often test boundaries to see how much control they can exert, so being clear and confident about your expectations is essential. Boundaries are not walls to shut people out, but guidelines to ensure mutual respect and understanding. A key element of establishing boundaries is effective communication. It's not enough to know your limits, you must express them in a way that leaves no room for misinterpretation. Toxic people often rely on ambiguity to push past your comfort zone, so clarity is your greatest tool. Use direct and assertive language and don't shy away from reinforcing your boundaries when they're challenged. For instance, saying, "I'm not comfortable with this, and I need you to respect my decision," leaves little room for debate. Boundaries also require consistency. Toxic individuals will test your resolve, looking for any signs of hesitation or weakness. If you set a boundary but fail to enforce it, you inadvertently send the message that your limits are flexible. This is why follow-through is critical. When someone oversteps, address it immediately and reaffirm your boundary. Consistency shows that you value yourself enough to demand respect and that you won't compromise on what is essential for your well-being. Setting firm boundaries may lead to discomfort or conflict, especially with toxic people who resist accountability. However, this discomfort is temporary and far less damaging than allowing someone to continually violate your peace. By standing firm, you teach others how to treat you and create space for healthier interactions. Boundaries are not just about protecting yourself from harm. They are about creating a foundation where respect, trust, and genuine connection can thrive. Choosing distance is not about abandoning people. It's about protecting your well-being when a relationship becomes harmful. Toxic individuals often create environments of constant tension, leaving you emotionally drained and mentally fatigued. Distance allows you to step back and evaluate the situation from a clearer perspective. It provides the space you need to regain your strength and prioritize your peace without being caught in the whirlwind of their negativity. Sometimes creating distance is as simple as limiting your interactions. You don't have to attend every event, answer every call, or respond to every message. By reducing the time and energy you give to a toxic person, you establish a boundary without needing to explain yourself. Limiting interaction is not avoidance. It is a conscious decision to protect yourself from unnecessary harm while still maintaining a level of civility if the relationship requires it. Distance can also mean redefining the nature of the relationship. For some people, it may mean moving from a position of closeness to one of formality. You can remain polite without being overly involved. This redefinition is particularly important when dealing with toxic family members or colleagues where completely cutting ties may not be feasible. Adjusting the dynamic allows you to interact with them on your terms, minimizing their impact on your life while maintaining necessary connections. Choosing distance wisely involves balancing grace and self-respect. It's not about making a public statement or fueling conflict. It's about quietly reclaiming control over your emotional environment. Distance provides the clarity needed to separate what is yours to carry from what belongs to the other person. It gives you the freedom to focus on relationships that uplift and encourage you rather than those that weigh you down. Refusing to engage in drama begins with recognizing the traps that toxic people often set. Drama thrives on attention, and toxic individuals will try to pull you into their chaos by exaggerating problems, creating conflicts, or spreading negativity. The moment you engage, you become a part of their cycle, which only fuels their behavior. By staying calm and composed, you break the cycle and deny them the reaction they are seeking. Refusing to engage is not indifference. It is a deliberate act of self-control. One of the most effective ways to avoid drama is by not taking the bait. Toxic people often use provocation, whether through hurtful comments, passive-aggressive behavior, or outright accusations. Their goal is to trigger an emotional response, pulling you into their web of conflict. When you respond with silence or neutrality instead of reacting emotionally, you deprive them of the power to control the situation. Choosing your response wisely shows strength and maturity, even in the face of provocation. Refusing to engage also means avoiding unnecessary arguments. Not every disagreement requires your input, and not every accusation deserves a defense. Toxic individuals thrive on keeping you in a state of defensiveness, where you feel the need to explain or justify yourself. By stepping back and choosing not to argue, you assert control over your energy and time. Silence can often be more powerful than words, as it signals that you refuse to be dragged into a battle that has no resolution. Finally, refusing to engage in drama requires focusing on solutions instead of problems. Drama tends to dwell on the issue, magnifying it and drawing others into the negativity. Instead, shift your focus to constructive actions that can bring clarity or resolution. Toxic people may resist this shift because it removes their platform, but staying solution-oriented ensures you remain productive and grounded. By choosing this approach, you prioritize peace over conflict and ensure that your energy is invested in things that truly matter. Offering grace without sacrifice begins with understanding that grace is a gift you extend, not a debt you owe. Toxic people may try to manipulate your kindness, viewing it as a weakness they can exploit. However, true grace comes from a place of strength that is choosing to show compassion while maintaining your own boundaries. It's possible to be kind without allowing others to take advantage of your kindness. Grace is about offering forgiveness and understanding without losing yourself in the process. To offer grace without sacrifice, it's important to separate the person from their behavior. Toxic actions often stem from deeper issues or unresolved pain, and grace allows you to see beyond the surface. This doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior, but it does mean choosing not to retaliate in kind. By refusing to mirror their negativity, you show that your character isn't dictated by their actions. Grace lets you rise above the situation even when the other person chooses to remain in the mud. Another key to offering grace is knowing your limits. Extending grace does not mean enduring constant disrespect or abuse. You can forgive someone without giving them continued access to hurt you. Boundaries are essential in ensuring that your acts of grace do not come at the expense of your emotional and mental well-being. Grace is not about allowing others to walk over you. It is about maintaining your integrity while still showing kindness. Offering grace without sacrifice also involves being intentional about your actions. Toxic people often thrive on conflict, but grace shifts the focus away from the chaos. This can mean responding calmly when provoked, walking away from escalating situations, or simply choosing not to hold a grudge. Grace is not about pretending that nothing happened. It's about choosing to move forward without letting the pain define you. By acting with intention, you preserve your peace while still extending compassion to those who may not deserve it. Focusing on growth requires shifting your energy away from toxic situations and toward personal development. Growth is a journey that demands your attention, effort, and time, and toxic people can be a distraction from that process. When you focus on growth, you prioritize your goals, your healing, and your progress over the chaos others may bring into your life. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It requires intentional choices that align with the vision you have for yourself. Part of focusing on growth involves surrounding yourself with people who inspire and uplift you. Toxic individuals often stifle growth by sowing doubt, negativity, or fear. In contrast, those who truly support your growth will challenge you to rise higher, celebrate your successes, and walk with you through your struggles. Choosing to invest your time in positive and supportive relationships creates an environment where growth becomes not only possible but inevitable. Focusing on growth also means learning from every experience, including those with toxic people. Painful interactions can teach valuable lessons about resilience, self-worth, and discernment. By reflecting on what you've endured, you can identify patterns, recognize what needs to change, and set healthier standards for the future. Growth isn't just about moving forward. It's about learning from where you've been and using that wisdom to navigate your next steps more effectively. Growth requires courage, especially when it involves letting go of things that no longer serve you. This may mean releasing relationships, habits, or environments that keep you stagnant. Toxic people often resist change because it threatens their control. But your growth isn't about their comfort, it's about your purpose. When you choose to focus on your own development, you demonstrate that your future is worth more than the weight of the past. By embracing change and pushing through discomfort, you position yourself for transformation and greater possibilities. Trusting God's guidance begins with acknowledging that His wisdom far exceeds our understanding. When faced with toxic people or difficult situations, it's easy to rely on our own strength and caught up in emotions. However, God's perspective is eternal and His plans are always for our good, even when we can't see it in the moment. Trusting His guidance means seeking His will through prayer and allowing His word to shape our responses instead of reacting out of frustration or fear. God's guidance often calls for patience, which can be challenging when dealing with toxicity. We may want immediate answers or swift resolutions, but God works in His timing, not ours. Trusting Him requires surrendering the urge to control the situation and allowing Him to direct our steps. His guidance may lead us to hold our peace, to walk away, or to confront with grace. Whatever He leads us to do, we can trust that it is for our benefit and aligned with His purpose for our lives. Another key aspect of trusting God's guidance is listening for His voice amidst the noise. Toxic people can be loud, demanding, and manipulative, attempting to drown out wisdom with chaos. Yet God speaks in a still, small voice that brings clarity and peace. Through prayer, reflection, and time in His presence, we can discern His direction even when the circumstances around us are overwhelming. His guidance often brings a sense of peace that confirms we are on the right path, no matter how uncertain it may feel. Trusting God's guidance also means recognizing that His ways may not always align with our preferences. He may call us to show kindness to someone who has hurt us, to forgive when it feels impossible, or to let go of relationships we thought would last. These moments of obedience require faith, but they also yield growth and freedom. When we trust God's hand in every situation, we release the burden of figuring everything out on our own and step into the assurance that He is working all things for our good.